So this video is part 2, the follow-up to the other half of the 2-night quest that Elia joined me on. And in the previous video, I started to point out and illustrate the top tree phenomenon and point out that the Sasquatch are doing something with those top trees. They're impaling them into the ground. And this is a new phenomenon, a new happenings. Because I had found upside down trees prior, but that was in a totally different section of my research area. Very far away, very hard to get to. But now the upside down tree phenomenon is all across my research area. And on this video, Elia makes a discovery of his own that is pretty mind-blowing for me. Really sent me doing research and looking into things. So thank you for tuning in. This is part 2 of the Elia mission. From the wind, but that would have been a perfect way to get between those two trees and use the leverage off that big tree to push over and break this tree. That is a tree break if I've ever seen one. I don't care what anybody says. And right here, this is an arch I've never looked at. Oh yeah, see, that is what I would call a Sasquatch tree because all of the branches on the top side of it have been removed. So this tree is a natural fallover. I'm on a property deep above, Vancouver, outside of a town called Battleground, Washington. I've been on this property for years. This is a repeat customer that has hired me time and time again. But the reason why I'm pointing out this tree, this is not a Sasquatch tree. This is a natural fallover. It's been here for years. It has endured windstorms, rainstorms, everything. And about 6 years ago, this tree was still green, alive. It's been dead now for probably 4 years. And if you notice, all of the branches on the top of it are still there. They're still up. They haven't broke off. When you look at all of the things I refer to as Sasquatch trees, they're all missing the branches on the top of them. And I just wanted to point this tree out because if wind and rain and Mother Nature were to be the reason why somebody says, oh, that's why the branches aren't on the top, because gravity has pulled them down. Clearly, gravity does not pull them down because this one has been here a long time. And you know, if this was a Sasquatch tree in my research area, all of the branches, all of those top branches would be gone. They would be broke off, bent off, cleared out of the way. See, all the branches hanging down should be the same going up. That tree should have branches on all sides of it, yet all of the top side branches are gone. That's always one of the first things I look for something that I would consider a Sasquatch tree. But see, this one is actually pushed over. Its roots popped. I bet you they were trying to arch it and its roots blew out on it. Because look, every branch is broke off across the top of it, making a perfect little walkway to get up in the trees. That doesn't happen naturally. Branches don't just fall off and break off. And see, this thing also has all its branches removed off the top side of it. And see, like right here, this tree on the ground sideways, this is a treetop. It was broke off, strangely broke off. Oh look, somebody's old toilet. That's funny. This is somebody's old campsite. They made a toilet out of an old stump. But see, this treetop snapped from either right there or right up. See, that's an alder that ties into this hemlock, but the top of that hemlock is gone. And I think this is the top of the hemlock. But as you can see, there's, you know, top branches sticking up. Branches. But all the Sasquatch trees, the ones that they actually climb on, they get rid of all these trees, all these tree branches. And so this is kind of a good perspective to show, you know, that a sideways tree, there's no reason for it to not still have branches sticking up. Gravity's not going to peel those off. Look, there's another treetop. So this is another tree that at that moment of filming, I hadn't realized it, but this is a treetop that's impaled into the earth. I pointed it out as just a treetop because I hadn't caught on yet to how these are all impaled into the earth. But I guarantee when I go back up there and I inspect this thing, it's going to be stabbed into the earth. That's the only reason it's standing up like that. And if you look right over here, this log, it's leaning up against this tree, it looks like. I guarantee when I go back there and find this thing, this is going to be impaled into the earth as well. Because I found so many of these in the days that follow that now looking back on this footage, I see them everywhere, ones that I missed. Even this right here, this leaner right here, it's hard to say for sure, but it's very possible that that as well is impaled into the earth. There's so many of them up there. You see this old toilet somebody made? You want to blow it up?
No. There's poop flying everywhere.
Alright, let's make our way out of this monsoon. It's about to start dumping, I think. So this is nuts. Crazy nuts. Because Ilya just found a subalpine pine cone. See that pine cone? That big giant pine cone? Look at me, look how big it is next to my hand. That's big. Now look at the ground. See all these little tiny pine cones? These little things? Those are the pine cones that are everywhere. There's thousands of them. Now if, what? Two more what? Two more. So that one's been broken half. See, this one's been broken half. Finding those two pine cones was really strange for me. It kind of spun me for a loop. And if you're a new viewer and you're not familiar with the pine cones, these pine cones have been found before beneath arches. Very bizarre arches. The first pine cone was found by a scientist that I took out with me, and he immediately recognized that that pine cone should not be in that forest.
I don't think these are native to these types. This is a blue spruce. This didn't come from this part of this stand.
Yeah, I don't see these.
Look at the needles.
Yeah.
Those come from a sugar pine at higher elevation.
Really?
Yeah.
These
are western cedars. That is not the same. That is not from this forest, actually.
He's the one that started me down this path. And then I found another pine cone that was placed below a different arch.
What's this?
That's another one. Dude, hell yeah, buddy. That's an awesome find. That is crazy. Good eye, dude. Good eye. That's insane. It was sitting like that. Right? Stuck in the dirt?
Yeah.
Dude. Oh my God. That's the same kind of pine cone that was under the... Oh my freaking God. Dude. That's crazy. Okay, my son just... he didn't even know what he's looking for. And he goes, what's this? That's the same exact pine cone. The same exact species of subalpine. It's a high elevation pine cone that doesn't belong in here. And we found one of those under the other new tree bend that was right over there where we just left. Yeah, it's really stuck in there. Interesting. Yeah, that didn't fall there. That didn't land there. That was stabbed there. That was stuck there. Wow, and this thing actually kind of looks like it has like bite marks in it. So this is one of those subalpine pine cones. I end up finding this one with Colin, the guy that comes up from Mexico. And I find this one, a day and a half after Ilya leaves. And it was over in a totally different section of my research area. But what I'm noticing about all these pine cones, this one's dried out quite a bit, so it's changed. But all of these pine cones I'm finding appear to have bite marks in them. As you can see right here, it was way more apparent when it was still wet as I've dried it out. And then right there next to my thumb, they appear to have teeth marks. And I'll show you the other ones. It seems to be a reoccurring thing. And I believe that it's because the Sasquatch carry these in their mouth. This is a picture of the pine cone that Ilya found, which was just a scene earlier in this video. And clearly, this pine cone, just like all the others, appears to have teeth marks in it. Bite marks. Big crater here, here, and here. And I left this pine cone there. It's still laying there. And I at a later point, I may roll it over and get a better picture of it because I bet there's more bite marks in it. But the bite mark seems to be a reoccurring theme in all of these pine cones for some reason. And so I have to assume that the bite marks have something to do with the transportation of getting them to this forest. I mean, why else do they all have teeth marks in them? And I hadn't done a lot of research on these pine cones, but I knew that it is from a tree that will not grow in this region. It's a high elevation tree. So this map here, this is where this subalpine species of trees will grow. It needs an elevation of 4,000 feet or higher to grow with any kind of health. So finding those pine cones, this region right here doesn't touch my research area. It's nowhere near it. My research area is over here in the coastal area near the mouth of the Columbia River. This is a long ways away. I mean, you're talking a few hundred miles, I believe, to the nearest subalpine forest. And also, all of the conifer trees that grow in the region that I consider my research area, those were all planted by man. Those are all timber trees, grown for timber. It's basically a giant timber farm, that whole entire region. This whole area over here is just timber farms. And the timber companies would never plant subalpine trees. So I will have to admit, though, when Ilya pointed out those pine cones on the ground right there, I had to kind of second guess the whole pine cone thing for a minute. And just wonder, like, am I overreacting about these pine cones? Are they native to this area? So I did a lot of reading up on that species of tree once I got home. And the more I read, the more I learned that those trees do not, cannot, and will not grow in the area. My research area is only about 1,500 feet. The highest mountain anywhere near my research area is 2,500 feet high. So the whole area that I'm doing this research in is a low elevation temperate forest. This subalpine species of trees that grows these pine cones wants cold weather at a very high elevation. And secondly, I learned that species of trees does not drop pine cones. The pine cones stay on the tree and they disintegrate on the tree, and little by little they flake away, and that's how the seeds are spread in the wind. So even in a subalpine forest where all this green is at, you won't find those pine cones on the ground. You shouldn't find them on the ground because, like I said, the tree does not shed pine cones. It holds its pine cones. So finding them in this region, it just shouldn't be there. They won't grow there. They cannot grow there. And they shouldn't be on the ground regardless. And like the previous pine cones, I found those below arches, below weird, mysterious, Sasquatch signs. And then there we were next to a tree break and an arch, and there was some on the ground. So it was really, really weird. And it's, even though for a moment there looking at the pine cones, I was second guessing the whole pine cone mystery. But once I got home and did the research, I'm even more solidified in my belief that those pine cones are being brought in there and put on the ground for some reason. I mean, I can only speculate to that, but I know that they're not pine cones from trees in that region. As I was digging deeper and deeper into whatever I could find out about these trees, I started to learn that these trees were a very important tool for the Native Americans' medicinal and ceremonial purposes. And I had to wonder if the Sasquatch have the same kind of reasons for their fascination with this tree or the importance of this tree. I mean, there has to be a reason why they are carting pine cones from hundreds of miles away and leaving them in this forest. I mean, it's almost as if they're trying to seed the forest with these trees or something. And why would they do that is the mystery. And so in trying to make sense of why they would do this, I was just fascinated to find out that this tree was such an important tree to the Native Americans. So this is just down from where Ilya found that pine cone. And this is actually pretty interesting, really, because it's forming this perfect little X. And this isn't just sitting here. This is actually stabbed into the ground. And this one is stabbed into the ground as well. Those aren't trees that grow. Those were stabbed into the ground right there, making this weird little X. Wow, there is a lot of weird shit going on right here. That's a little X. Like, I've never even thought about these little ones. And yeah, a person could have definitely made that, but why? And it's been there a while. You can tell by the covering of the ground, all the pine needles. This has actually been probably sitting here for, I don't even know, a year better. That's kind of cool. So I'm trying to find a game trail that will take me down to one of my trail cameras. But there's so many leaves on the ground now that I'm not sure where that game trail is at. Actually, you know, I think we want to go. We want to go a little bit further, and there should be a game trail that takes us right to the trail cam. Like I said, I usually walk the river to get to this camera, so I'm going a different way. I think this is it. Alright, this looks like the trail. It's so weird. Cluster of trees all bent together. And we got that one. Oh, that one leaning into it. My camera's acting really weird. I just found my long lost trail camera. And Elia is right where I found the juvenile footprint. The trail camera's right there, kind of hidden. So it has been quite the trip. Monsoon, torrential rain. It's been chaos. We're finally kind of set up. We have a lean-to here so the rain can rain on us and we can be by the fire. We're cooking up some sausage with potatoes, onions, and wild picked mushrooms, actually. Oyster mushrooms. I haven't put them in there yet, but right here, these oyster mushrooms were growing right in my campsite. I'm gonna have to cut some of the dirty part off of them. Don't know a whole lot about mushrooms, but I have a little guide and confirmed that they're oyster mushrooms. Oh, it's been rough, not gonna lie. It's been a constant struggle with the rain. My tent is tarped, strapped down. The wind was just blowing, and it was blowing the tarp all over the place, so I kind of panicked and zip tied everything down. But the discovery of those pine cones today is kind of interesting. Elia found those pine cones, and there's 4 of them. 4 pine cones sitting there from that subalpine species. And they're not far from where the pine cone under the arch was found by the geologist. And then the pine cone that my son found, that's only, I don't know, a couple hundred yards up the way. So they're all in the area of Tree Brick Alley, which is called Tree Brick Alley for a reason. It's inundated with sign. But it's just bizarre. Those pine cones, what are they doing there? You know, they're right by a tree break, not an arch this time. Some of them look a lot older, so I'm still pretty strong in my belief that those pine cones are coming from migratory Sasquatch. It's something kind of like a calling card or a marker when they come here to announce, I suppose, to the resident Sasquatch that live here year round. I mean, that's just a guess. But they find one of their structures, one of their, you know, markers, whatever. And I think they leave one of those pine cones there. And they say, hey, we're here. It's also interesting, you know, that Ilya's the one that found them. Because Brent, the geologist, found the first one. And my son found the second one. And so it's somehow I'm just walking right by them and not seeing them, I guess. But that's why it's good to have a fresh set of eyeballs around you. Cooking over the fire. I usually bring a generator and have this electric grill, but I figured that's kind of bitch shit. It's time to do it real and cook over the fire. It's gonna be good.
Here we have the Hugh Night Special.
Yep. Potatoes, onions, sausage, mushroom.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
I lost my strand that's been a part of so many videos. Oh, I'm talking to the camera. It's kind of like a whole different campsite now. That was always my main light in here. Gonna have to get that replaced. So this is Ilya's last night here. He's going back to the real world. He's tapping out.
This is the real world.
Yeah, it actually is. He's had all the nature he can handle. He got a pretty gnarly dose of it though. That was pretty bad. That first night, all day, it's been pretty nasty. It's been the worst weather I've ever had up here, by far.
And that marks the end of night 2.
Every night before I go to bed, when I'm sleeping in this area, I do a perimeter check. I walk around with my spotlight and just do one last scan, looking for eye shine, looking for movement, just looking for anything that might be keeping an eye on my campsite.
7:30 a.m. Are you excited for your next 2 days?
Yeah, kinda. I want it to be dry. You know? But I always, it's like no matter what, I feel the need to be out here. Ever since, you know, I saw one of these things, it's just changed me, kind of made me obsessed with seeing them again, and not only just seeing them, but proving to other people that don't believe they exist that they do exist. So kind of rain or shine, hot or cold, it's like this strange feeling that I need to be up here doing this stuff.
It's your calling.
Yeah. And it seems like every trip, at least some kind of something is discovered that becomes a new sort of piece of the puzzle. Damn. Tires are really, really slipping in this muck this morning. So we are leaving my research area. I'm returning Ilya back to civilization, and then I'm picking up somebody who flew in from Mexico. And I'm turning around and coming right back up into this wet hell hole. You're probably ready for a hot shower, right?
Yeah.
In a dry bed,
Yeah.
without an air mattress.
Yeah.
How's that air mattress? I've never slept on that one.
The mattress is good.
Yeah?
It's very firm, and it lifts you off the ground. So yeah.
Yeah, that's real important in the wet, to be off the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, it saved your life that first night.
Yes.
It really did. God, see, I love it when it's foggy like this, because I really think that the Sasquatch use this fog to migrate and sneak around. I think that's part of the attraction they have to this area, because it's been widely reported that they leave a lot of different locations in the winter when all the foliage is gone, and that would mean they don't want to be seen, or they don't have their cover by the foliage. And that's why I think they migrate to areas like this, where even though the foliage does kind of die down, but the foliage is then replaced with a fog layer. And the fog is always here. It always comes and goes. And I really, really believe that this region is a place where they migrate to. Now, I don't know how they stay dry and endure the wet all winter, but they don't have to worry about snow here, and they're always gonna have something to hide behind. Yeah, there's a big old X. See how there's just that light haze everywhere? That's always here. In some way, shape, or form, there's always some kind of layer of fog here. And that layer of fog makes your night vision not work. It makes your bright spotlights not work. I mean, it's this area really just in so many different ways is perfectly evolved or created for something like a Sasquatch to exist witut being seen. Everything from the food to the plant life to the weather, everything is so perfectly conducive to helping a Sasquatch exist without being seen. I mean, you just look into the trees any direction, and I mean, anything could be hiding out there. You wouldn't be able to see it. So this is really cool. First, I want to introduce my buddy Colin here. Flew in from Mexico to come squatching in the rain. But this is something I've never seen, and I drive through here a million times, and I look at everything. This is an upside-down tree impaled into the earth. You can see that the end up in the air is the fatter end of the log, which means it gets skinnier and it tapers down, meaning that it's literally upside down, stuck in the ground, sticking straight up. I'm going to come back and look at this once I get rain gear on.
Let's do that later, yeah.
But that is a pretty cool find.
It's totally jammed in the ground.
Totally jammed in the ground. That's fucking awesome.
And there's no broken tops on the top.
Oh, it's the top of a tree, I guarantee you.
Not from any of those trees.